Everybody, what's up? Welcome back to Tammy Talks. All right, y'all. So we're here tonight because we're going to talk Queens, season 1, episode 4, Ain't No Sunshine. So before we get started, if you have not already, please go ahead, hit the subscribe button, join the fun and all the action over on my channel. That way, you don't miss any of my future videos. You don't have to search my name every week. If you have not, be sure to thumbs up the video if you enjoyed the content. I cannot talk tonight, y'all. Leave some comments down below and let's talk about the episode after the recap. So the episode starts off with exactly where it left off at. Brianna is still in bed right after Jeff died. And she's still just laying there. I think she's in like a state of shock, disbelief, um, mainly probably shock. So she gets on her phone and she initially Googles how to dispose of a dead body. I said, oh dear, why would you do that? So then she calls the coroner and she sounds unsure, like, is this what I'm supposed to do? And I'm thinking, you're not going to go get the kids so the babies can say goodbye? But I guess they have 5 kids. The son is clearly like a teenager and the daughters are younger. So maybe I don't know. But I just thought it was kind of weird that she was just like, let me call the coroner off rip. So they have this like random song playing, and I'm like, the song was so distracting. I felt like the song took so much away from the scene, like the emotions that the scene was probably supposed to convey. It was really weird. So in her mind, she's thinking, give them one more night. So in her mind, she does not want to wake up the kids because she wants them to have one more good night of sleep, one more night of them, thinking that mommy and daddy and everything is still perfectly fine. So she calls the coroner. The coroner comes in and takes away the body. But it's weird because like she is still very like monotone, just kind of out of it. Um, they don't zip up the body. Now I know it's TV and everything, but we have seen enough TV shows that they zip up the body. They don't zip up the body. They're like wheeling him out with the body bag all half open, and she actually stops them. They give her his phone. Um, she like stops them and she kisses him, I guess, on the forehead or the cheek, and then that's it. We see them again in the dead of the night go out and put the body into the corner. Now I've been around. My grandmother died in her sleep in her house. It is not just a coroner that comes. There's a police officer comes, the coroner comes. Sometimes a paramedic comes. Like there are checks and balances. In ABC, come on, y'all know better than that. So she again contemplates on whether or not she should wake up the kids, and she, once again decides not to. But then as she's like closing the door, one of the little baby girls comes and it's like, Mom, is everything okay? Because she hears the door close. And she's like, yeah, go back to sleep, go back to sleep. And the little girl is like, is dad, she gets her back in bed. She's like, is dad going to take us to do this tomorrow like you promised? And Brianna's just like, yeah, we'll deal with it. We'll deal with everything in the morning. So she is like sitting on the couch. She calls Jeff's mother. And since she has Jeff's phone, his phone rings again with Alexis, who is the mistress calling, the college student. So she's like looking at on his Instagram page at the pictures of them too. And I'm like, why wouldn't you look through the camera roll? It is just so much weirdness that happens on the show. So she goes down to the basement and she's doing laundry, and she is still just kind of in a zone. She took the sheets off the bed, and those are the sheets that she's washing. She goes up, she pours herself a glass of vodka. She never drinks it. Instead, we see her like kind of replaying all these different scenes of them two together, them as a family, them with the kids. And then we see that she was like just up literally all night. So the kids come down for breakfast the next morning and they're asking, is dad awake? She makes them breakfast. And then once they're all sitting around, she tells them, we all need to kind of talk. So we see Eric showing up at Naomi's apartment. And initially, the trailer made it seem as if JoJo overheard him asking if he was the father. That's not the case. Nonetheless, Naomi gets out of that awkward situation because she gets the call from Brianna that Jeff has died. We switch over to Jill, who is waking up in bed with the reporter Alicia, and Tina is texting her to let her know that she's in town in LA, wanted to surprise her, spend some time with her, and she's headed to her hotel room. So Alicia is like, look, you didn't do anything. It's Alicia. She was like, you didn't do anything wrong by sleeping with and, getting involved with someone that you're interested in. That is wrong if you're in a relationship, Alicia. Don't do that. Don't do that, Alicia. So she kind of tells her that, like, look, you are a major star that just came out for the first time. You are not going to be with Tina forever. Basically trying to kind of let her know that, maybe you should go out, sow your wild oats a little bit, and do what you need to do so then that way you can get back to Tina. I guess that's what Alicia was saying, but it came across very stank. So Jill is kind of debating on what she should do while Alicia takes a shower, and she gets a call from Brianna that Jeff has died as well. So we pan over to Brianna, and she is already planning a funeral. So we didn't see her call Valeria, but Valeria is there, Eric is there, and a pastor is there, and he's asking Brianna, what does she want him to say about Jeff? And she was like, he was an adulterer. And they're like, not in the eulogy. So she's kind of like, she doesn't know what to say. She doesn't know what she should say in her remarks, whatever. So then we see everybody starts to show up one by one, and they're all like, we're here for you, whatever you need. Jill says a prayer. They're all standing around, and Brianna's like, I want to talk about anything else but what happened today. Like, what's going on with y'all? And since they all have all these different things that are like major things that are going on with them, nobody wants to talk about it. So they're all like, no, nothing. Everything's good. So Brianna tells Jill and Tina, they're sitting on the couch, that she feels that Jeff got out of the cheating easy because he died. And then he just kind of left her with this mess to clean up. And Jill was just kind of like, don't think of it that way and you'll get through this and everything's going to be okay. When Brianna's son comes down and tells her that, one of his sisters won't stop crying. And she's like, see what I mean? I have to deal with all of this. So Tina tells Jill that she didn't know that Jeff cheated. And she doesn't know how people stay together after cheating. And you shouldn't have to even work through that. You should never put somebody through that. So, Jill looks super guilty. She's looking away because, Jill has cheated on Tina. And it's like Jill is being so overly obvious that she's done something that it's kind of annoying, to be honest. So Valeria, Eric and Naomi are standing outside the bathroom. JoJo is trying to find the bathroom in the house because she has to go. And she's like, this awkward scenario, I'll just go pee in a bush. And Valeria comes out of the bathroom and JoJo runs in. Naomi walks off, and Valeria is kind of looking at Eric like, what is going on? Are you sure that you're the father? Whatever. And so they start to talk about it, and they get into kind of a back and forth. And Eric tells Valeria, look, I have always been off and on with Naomi. There was never a time when we were never, on this roller coaster of a relationship. She wanted us to stay a secret, so they did. So Valeria is kind of like, oh, so now I've been playing second fiddle without even realizing it, this entire time. So now she's feeling away because she's like, we had this whole beef, and a big part of my falling out with Naomi is because of you. So all the ladies, the group, the queens, they're the queens now. The queens are all standing around together. And Jeff's phone keeps ringing with Alexis that keeps calling. And they all begin to go kind of back and forth over what they should do. Valeria feels that she should know the answer. Valeria feels that she has a right to know that he has passed away. Jill does not. Naomi's kind of seems caught in the middle. And I feel like Naomi is like the most level headed of everyone in the group. Like whenever they're having these like deep debates, you can see Naomi kind of looking at both sides of the situation. And she's just kind of like, I don't think this is the best idea. So Valeria feels that Alexis has no loyalty to Brianna. Alexis owes Brianna nothing. Yes, she knew that he was married, but she didn't break any vows. She is a single person. This all falls on Jeff, and she feels that she has a right to know. So then we see Brandy's I wrote down Brittany. So then we see Naomi sitting down with JoJo, and Brandy sings an amazingly beautiful version of Ain't No Sunshine. Um, and while that is happening, we see like scenes of Brianna just kind of going through the motions of like what she's going to do, and she just kind of seems out of it. So we see Valeria shows up to Alexis's house and to tell her that Jeff died. And Alexis is like, "What do you mean he died?" And Brianna's like, well, he had cancer, he had the tumor, had the surgery, whatever, whatever." Alexis said that she kept calling because she felt bad for Brianna. Like she that's not what she wanted to do. What she wanted to happen. She felt awful. And then she had the nerve to ask when was the funeral, and Valeria was like, "Did you love him?" And that's when she starts crying. And Valeria told her, "Cry it out tonight and then move on. That I'm not going to tell you when the service is. That's your past. You need to move on from this. Be done with it," right? So we see Jill and Tina are out picking out the casket for Jeff, and Tina was like, "Why are we doing this?" And Jill is like, "I'm just kind of taking the reins because Brianna hasn't even started to write her eulogy. Like Brianna's just she's still out of it. On top of the fact she has 5 babies to look after. You have to be sensitive to your kids' emotions at a time like this. Like it's hard. It's a lot for her to do on her own." So Tina asked Jill, like, "What's going on with her? Like, you seem kind of off. What's going on?" Jill gives some lame excuse about like the distance kind of getting to them and all this other stuff, and Tina lets it go for now. So Naomi sees Eric outside. Eric's taking a phone call, and she asks Eric if he told Valeria that he was JoJo's father because of the way that Valeria is just kind of moving and bouncing around. And Eric is like, "Why didn't you tell me?" So Naomi said that she found out right before they went on stage for the San Diego concert. And then after the San Diego show, after they got into it over the money and all that other type of stuff, she realized that he took something away from her, which was her career, her music, her money. So that was ultimately a part of the reason why she quit the group. She said she went driving for 5 days because she didn't want to have the baby. She like booked an abortion. She stopped in some city and had the plans to get the abortion, but then decided not to at the time she got to the next city. And then she decided again to get an abortion. And then she saw Eric and Valeria on the cover of US Weekly and just kind of figured that's their life now, the fame, the glitz, the glamour, and this is my life now with the baby. So that was the ultimate decision. And Eric is like getting mad, and he wants Naomi to tell JoJo before he does. And Naomi is like, "After all you put me through, you need to let me do this in my own time. I'm a teller, but let me do it in my own time." And I kind of feel like Naomi, nah, I don't know if I'm on Naomi's side with that. Like, this girl has been asking you who the father is, asking you who her father is, and like you have known all these years, And you're basically, because you're mad at him for what happened with your career. So, which I mean is effed up what he did, but because you're mad at him about that, you have kept this man away from your daughter, kept your daughter away from her father all these years because of some hurt that you have. That's not cool. That's not cool. So we see Brianna is talking to Jill, and she's saying how she doesn't know why she can't mention the truth about Jeff in the eulogy. And Jill is like, "What are you talking about?" Brianna wants to mention that he cheated on her. And I was on live. I was on Twitter. I didn't live tweet because Twitter search is like trash now, so I really couldn't. But I was on Twitter, and what I've noticed is so many people were saying that Brianna needs to get over it. People gotta understand. I feel like these first four episodes have been a span of what, a couple of months. It's still fresh. It's still very fresh. He cheated on her, not only cheated on her, but in her house, in their bed, and got caught. It's still very, 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 very fresh for Brianna. So while so while she's sad that he's gone, she still has that pain of not only knowing that her husband cheated, but catching her husband cheat on her. So Jill is like kind of like, well, you can't hold them to cheating. That doesn't define the person. And Brianna's like, why are you taking his side? So Jill admits to Brianna that she cheated on Tina. And Brianna's like disgusted with her. Calls her selfish, and Jill is just kind of like, it's fine. I'm not going to tell her. We're moving in together. We're going to fix it. Brianna's like, that is a terrible, terrible idea. Like, that's not going to solve whatever problems y'all are having. It's not going to make you want to be any more faithful than you have chosen not to be, recently. So we see Eric gets locked in the basement with JoJo. He goes downstairs to get some of Jeff's beers at the refrigerator, kicked over the bucket, so ends up getting locked in the basement with her. So he's talking. He asks he asks JoJo if Naomi has ever talked about her dad. JoJo says she doesn't talk about it because Naomi doesn't know who her father is. And JoJo was like, it's embarrassing, and I just try not to dwell on what that says about her as a person. So she was basically being like, my mama was a hoe, and I just don't even want to think about the fact that she been out here living like that. And Eric was just like, that was a wild time in our life, and don't hold that too much against her. The industry is wild. So JoJo asked him, does he know, you've been around her for so long? And he was like, oh no, I don't get in Naomi's business. No, absolutely not. So he gives her a beer and was like, I'm not going to tell your mom. Now, I kept forgetting that girl was 20. I was like, is he about to give this teenager a beer? But they have a little bonding moment. That was her first drink together, her first drink. And you can tell that Eric is like honored as her father to have been able to give her first drink and share that moment with her. So Eric asked her if after all those years she would like to know who her father was. And JoJo said yes, because she has always thought that if she's always wondered if her father had been around, would her mom have been around more too? And you can see that Eric really wants to tell her and just kind of let her know that he feels bad because he really didn't know. So Eric tells JoJo that whoever is your father would be super proud of you, the same way that your mom is super proud of you. Like, don't even trip about that. So Naomi comes down to the basement and finds them, and she's pressed because she thinks that Eric told JoJo, and he's like, no, but she deserves to know. And that's just kind of all he said. So we see Brianna is sitting on the foot of her bed, the edge of her bed, and she's writing a eulogy, and she's not able to find the words. So we see her get up and go in the bathroom, and she finally lets out some emotion, and she goes in there and screams. So now we get to the funeral, y'all. Tina is asking Jill where they are going to live. Are we going to move into your place? Your house is super big, but I mean, we can. Are we going to live in my apartment? Should we get a smaller place since we're going to kind of be splitting time between Montana and LA? And Jill is still feeling guilty, so she just kind of like excuses herself really quick. So we see Valeria sits next to Naomi, and they clear the air between the two of them. They squash, this underlying beef that they've always had. And Valeria tells Naomi, I didn't know who my mother was, and that ate me up. It still eats her up to this day. Let JoJo have that bond that she wants. Let JoJo have that, don't take that away from her because you're upset about XYZ. So Jill goes to confess to the father, and she's telling him, she said that she's admitting that she cheated on the woman that she cheated on her husband with. And it's a lot, and she's like going on and on about it. And the father was like, you know what? I need to confess that he kissed a woman. He said that he admires her courage because he said he saw the BET Awards, he saw their performance, and he often wonders, because Jill asked him, "Are you happy?" And he said he often wonders what his life would be like if he didn't have to live up to such high expectations. If he didn't have such boundaries, he's just wondering what his life would be like. So we get to church. We get back to the service, and it's getting ready to start, and we hear dramatically, like TV likes to do, we hear the doors to the church bust open, and it is Alexis. Alexis done found her way, and everyone is looking like, how the hell does she know? And Valeria told her where the service was going to be. So Brianna is like, it's fine. I will handle it. I'll ask her to leave. And we see Brianna stand up and run full forth, and she tackles her. And I was like, Lord, this show could be so good, but it has these campy moments. The show honestly reminds me a lot of Claws, just centered around a music group. And I just kind of feel like these campy moments, I don't know. I still think the show would be a better fit on like Fox or cable, but we see Brianna tackle her. So then we see the women, the group all take Brianna into, like a private room, and they're all in there laughing and stuff, like getting some of this emotion out. Brianna says that she wants to talk to Alexis. So Alexis comes in, and Brianna asks her, like, do you love Jeff? And Alexis nods, and she's like, well, tell me what you loved about him. So we see Jill is outside on the steps talking to Tina. She admits to sleeping with someone else and cheating on Tina. Tina says she already knew. She was waiting on her to admit it. She said she could tell by her touch, how distant she's been, the fact that she hasn't been able to get her on the phone, the slow response to text messages. And Jill just kind of told her it's not the cheating they can work on, but if Jill does not know what she really wants at this time, then she doesn't want to get in her way, and she basically breaks up with her. And I'm like, okay, so now we know that Jill is about to be real hot in the pants. So we Valeria, Naomi, and Jill are outside the room that Brianna is in talking to Alexis, and we hear like sobbing, and we finally see Brianna break down and finally show some emotion. So I guess the shock and everything has gone off, and we hear her saying, I can't believe he's gone. I can't believe he's gone. So it switches to the actual service now is starting. We see Jill is singing while Naomi's playing the guitar. Jill's voice starts to break a little bit. Naomi gave her a quick, don't do it. Side note, is that Brandy really playing the guitar? I didn't know Brandy could play the guitar. That's cool. So then we, while this is all happening, we see like a scene of Naomi telling, JoJo that Eric is the father. They're like, oh, holding hands, but we don't get to hear the words or the audio. And then Brianna gives her eulogy, and it's about how Jeff wasn't perfect. He's human, but he loved big. And she gives like a little anecdote about how he chewed juicy fruit. So she turns around and she's standing at the casket, and the mistress comes up with her, and she's popping a piece of juicy fruit in her mouth, as in honor to him. And all of a sudden, the mistress vomits, I'm assuming, onto the casket, and Brianna asks her, "You're pregnant, aren't you?" And that's how it ends. And I said, I want the show to do well. I want the show to do well, but it is just so much, y'all. It's so much. It's so much. But let me know how you felt about tonight's episode. If you have not already, subscribed to the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next one.